you promise not to tell?
We all have our little secrets. That attractive hairpiece you're sure no one can detect. Calling in sick, but telling no one you went to the movies. The secret dye job. The candy stash. Then there are the bigger secrets. The test you cheated on. A secret affair. And for some of us, there are terrible dark secrets that not a soul knows, like incest in the family, or a crime committed and never confessed to. Now, I'm sure you're really good at keeping secrets. Well, psychologists say what you're actually good at is burying them, out of sight, out of mind, and away from the lips where they could be blurted out. It's called thought suppression, and it's not easy. Listen.
I'm coming home, I've done my time.
You know how a cheesy pop tune can sometimes invade your brain? There. Now try and block it out.
I said, yellow river
and see how far you get.
If I don't see a river.
It's not so easy. So what does suppressing a thought, keeping a secret, do to your mind? Researchers say quite a lot.
I think people become obsessed with secrets.
Clinical psychologist Dr. Dan Wegner, a professor at the University of Virginia, has spent 10 years studying how secrecy affects us. He says he can demonstrate how secrets can take on a life of their own.
I guess I like the color scheme in this room. I like the blues. I think they're pretty color, kind of smoky blue.
This student volunteer has been instructed to say whatever comes to mind for 5 minutes. She doesn't know that a Dateline camera is recording her thoughts through a one-way mirror.
I have to read Hard Times by Charles Dickens. I'm supposed to have done that for this morning, and I haven't started it.
Pretty boring stuff. But for the following 5 minutes, researcher Laura Smart will lob a grenade into her subject's stream of consciousness.
Please verbalize your thoughts as you did before, with one exception. This time, try not to think of a white bear.
This white bear is the laboratory secret she must keep and not even think about. But if white bear should come to mind, she's told to ring the bell.
Okay, but you should be trying not to think of it. Right, are you ready? Okay, begin.
I thought of it. All right, now I'm thinking about ice cream, and I'm thinking about being at, like, the beach and standing on the sand. I'm just thinking of what to think about. How about scuba diving? Okay. All right, now I'm thinking about swimming under the water. And I'm seeing all these little fishes, and they're swimming around me.
And for the next few minutes,
okay.
You get the idea. That white bear of a secret asserts itself 15 times in 5 minutes. Well, she's obviously obsessed with white bears, right?
All right, now I'm thinking about elephants. So maybe if I think about, not thinking about elephants, I'll think about elephants instead of bears.
But look what happens to 3 other students subjected to the very same experiment. Regardless of what they were thinking about to begin with, however distracted,
what am I thinking about?
however depressed,
The past week's been really, really stressful.
or however dreamy,
Now I just thought of my boyfriend.
once the white bear is introduced, like a virus,
This is really weird.
it multiplies.
See, I don't really think about a white bear. I just think that I'm not supposed to think about a white bear, but I guess that is thinking about a white bear.
That's what I'm supposed to be dinging.
To the point where, in the end,
White bear.
You're taking over her mind, Doc.
Yes. This is why people talk about the weather. It's why people talk about things that really they don't care about at all. I think a lot of times when we have something on our mind we don't want to talk about, don't want to think about, we fill it with distractors.
even in the course of taping this experiment, we witnessed one student apparently trying to do just that.
I wish I could just forget about that, but that's what most on my mind right now.
She doesn't want to think about an unpleasant incident and the unpleasant conversation she knows she has to have with the college honors committee. And watch as she searches for a distraction.
I wonder what I'm going to eat for dinner.
She's trying to suppress the unpleasant thought. Dr. Wegner says this is typical.
We have in the laboratory these minor obsessions that we create in 5 minutes. And then in real life, we have people who develop obsessions that take them over. They become everything turned up. Whenever something relevant to the secret comes around.
It makes you almost desperate.
Exactly, yeah.
In short, we all live in a world of nearly desperate people trying hard not to blurt out their obsessions. Sound familiar? So who's really good at keeping secrets anyway, about white bears or anything else? Old people, young people, men, women? Well, Dr. Wegner's research suggests only that someone very good at keeping a secret may be seriously disturbed. As for the rest of us, keeping a secret by suppressing thoughts can cause psychological and physical harm. Here's how. Take a look at this experiment.
And I'm not going to be weird this time around.
A student hooked up to a polygraph machine is asked to talk about an ex-boyfriend for 5 minutes.
He's on my mind. I haven't seen him in a long time.
The red line on the screen measures heart rate. The blue line indicates how much she sweats. She's comfortable now. But for the next 5 minutes, she's told not to think about that ex-boyfriend.
Now I just thought about how I'm not supposed to think about it.
And boom, her perspiration increases by 3 points. A significant change, says Dr. Wegner.
The hands get a little bit moist as the person does this. It's an indication of emotionality.
I've got her on my mind now.
And when this volunteer is asked to stop thinking about his ex-girlfriend, you don't even need the scientific measurements. His discomfort is clear.
As much as I try, she's just pervading my thoughts.
Keeping secrets can cause stress, and here's the irony. In our society, we value those loyal, trustworthy souls who can keep a secret, but it's the squealers who live longer. Some research suggests secrecy can exacerbate drug use, eating disorders, and sexual dysfunction. And people who keep secrets may be at greater risk of getting colds and flu, even cancer. But even if you're determined to keep a thought to yourself, your mind and your mouth may betray you anyway.
A lot of times a slip of the tongue occurs when you've already formulated, in some sense, the worst possible thing you could say.
So if I'm sitting here and I'm going, all right, I'm not going to mention that Dr. Wegner's tie is really dorky. All right, I'm not going to mention that. I'm not going to mention that. I'm not going to, whatever I do, I'm not going to mention that. I'm not going to.
You know, your basic foot in your basic mouth.
So your recommendation would be, John, just mention the tie and move on with your life.
Exactly.
Right? That's it. Okay. Well, there we go. And I'm forgetting about it now. There we go.
And once the tie thing was off my chest, tension vanished. Doc Wegner and I were almost friends. So if talking about it worked with the silly tie, could the same be true of that blasted white bear?
Bear, like when they first
In the
started.
third and final section of the bear experiment, students who tried to suppress the white bear are asked now to deliberately think about it
White bear.
and ring the bell when they do. Watch what happens.
All right, I'm envisioning a white bear. What does it look like? Okay, now I'm envisioning a stuffed white bear.
And on she talks.
And he's got little black beady eyes, and he's very fluffy.
She becomes unusually good at thinking about a white bear following suppression.
So it's like relief.
Exactly.
When the students are told the white bear is no longer a secret, it loses its magic hold on their mind.
Why can't I think of anything?
So the antidote to toxic secrets may be to talk about your obsessions, to have some outlet. Take married people. They live longer, according to one researcher, because couples can share their secrets. In fact, Dr. Wegner's experiments show that secrets can help a relationship. In this experiment, these students, none of whom have ever met, are teamed up and asked to play cards. The couple nearest the camera has been given a special set of instructions. The reason they're smiling is they've been told to play footsie under the table, to cheat, communicating with their feet. We repeated the experiment with different groups of players, all strangers. After the card game, all the volunteers who took part in the footsie experiment are asked to fill out a questionnaire. The students think they're taking part in an exercise in nonverbal communication, but Dr. Wegner springs some surprise questions on them.
Would you date this person in the future, something like that? I was like, whoa, what is this?
They're told to rate the participants of the opposite sex, the one on their team and the one on the opposing team. What kind of romantic partners would they make? What Dr. Wegner found, and our experiment seemed to confirm, was that in most cases, the couple with the secret was much more attracted to each other than to anyone else in the room. They were also much more attracted to each other than the non-footsie couple were. Is it the secret that's causing the attraction, or is this just people flirting with their feet? Well, Dr. Wegner repeated the footsie experiment. In this second version, one couple played footsie, and this time everybody at the table knew it. It was no longer a secret. And the result? No sparks. We put the students on the spot and asked them about the results of these experiments.
It makes you feel like you know the person. You're sharing a secret. is kind of like a level of intimacy with that person that you don't have with those other people.
Dr. Wegner thinks that secrecy adds spice to a relationship. He says it explains the intensity of an illicit affair. He based the experiment on the story of a colleague who played footsie with a woman who was interviewing him for a job. They ended up married.
Now, you're not saying that anyone who had been sitting across from him at that table that he'd play footsie with, he would have ended up marrying.
I hate to think that, but that's what this theory says, yes.
So if these students don't want to end up hitched, the solution is simple, says Dr. Wegner. To rid yourself of a suppressed thought, think the unthinkable and share a secret with someone you trust. Remember that little tune we mentioned earlier? Did you manage to stop thinking about it? Dr. Wegner referred to it once in a lecture about the white bear experiments.
One time I was feeling a little frisky. I asked the group to try not to think about Tony, Orlando, and Dawn. Later on that evening, just about everybody was cursing me for making them think about this forever.
So the entire campus, just based on one offhand remark, is walking around going, tie a yellow ribbon. You're an evil genius.
Well, thank you.
Tie a yellow ribbon. I hate that song.
Welcome to my laboratory.